Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast, where we dive deep into dating with PMDD, PMDD relationships, stress, triggers, PMDD rage, and really understanding how attachment styles play a role in PMDD relationship. So I am Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I've personally suffered with PMDD for over 19 years. And I've dedicated my practice to help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. My dissertation, the phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with PMDD, gave me insight and tools on how PMDD affects the partner who has PMDD as well as the partner who does not. So each week, I'll be sharing my specialized trauma transformational tools to help you rewire your PMDD brain, get rid of the stress during the luteal phase, and finally have the relationship that you both desire and deserve. So whether it's understanding PMDD triggers, controlling PMDD rage, or healing past trauma from events that have happened in your relationship, this is your space to rebuild your relationship, empower you to connect with someone while having PMDD, and ultimately grow stronger together. So to get private PMDD relationship counseling sessions or for more PMDD tools, go to inlovewithpmdd.com. Now let's get into today's episode. We got this. So today we are going to be talking all about one of the questions that is always asked in PMDD relationships and the struggle that you have probably every single month when you're going through struggles in your PMDD relationship. And that is, am I compatible with my PMDD partner? That is always the struggle that happens when you're getting to the point where you're arguing, you're fighting, and you're really feeling like, you know what, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be with this person. I don't feel like we're compatible. Maybe I should just be with someone else. Maybe if I was with another PMDD partner that I wouldn't be having the specific issues that I have. And I want to really give you the tools that are really going to help you with understanding whether you're compatible with your PMDD partner. But the first thing I want you to really understand is that you are not alone. I have been in this place so often where I have really questioned whether I was with the right person. And a lot of times I've done that because, like I told you before, I have chosen partners based off of my follicular phase when I'm in my good days. And then I get into my luteal phase and I just really start to think, maybe I'm not compatible with my partner, not as a whole, but I'm not compatible with my partner when I'm in my luteal phase, when I'm in PMDD, because they don't like me in PMDD. And I want you to really understand that there are partners that will love and adore you when you're in your luteal phase, when you're in your follicular phase, when you're in your ovulation phase, when you're in your menstruation phase. They're going to love you through all phases of your cycle. And a lot of times when you're saying that you need to break up, it's because when you get in your luteal phase, they just genuinely don't like you. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your partner not liking you in your luteal phase, because guess what? A lot of times you don't like you when you're in your luteal phase. You don't like the way that you're acting, that you're reacting, that the way you're feeling like you don't have a lot of energy to do the things that you really want to do. And so I don't want you to start beating up your partner and criticizing them for not liking the version of you in your luteal phase and saying that famous phrase, like, if you can't handle me in my bad phases, then you don't deserve me in my good ones. Well, here's the thing. If your luteal phase is causing your PMDD partner to suffer, then that's the reason why they don't like you in your luteal phase, why they might feel that you're not compatible with them, why they may feel that they can't do this because they're not getting their needs met. So I'm going to go over some of the common reasons why you're wanting to end your relationship, because you're genuinely feeling like you're in this place where we're just not compatible. Maybe I should just start over. Maybe I should just start from scratch. I know for me, I genuinely enter relationships, and my pattern in the past, over 19 years, I suffered with PMDD. And my pattern in the past is getting into the relationship when I'm in my follicular phase and ovulation. For those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, ovulation is probably outside of my follicular phase. It's one of the best times of my life. It only lasts for a couple of days, but it's when I have the most energy. It's when I'm the most loving. It's when I'm leaning in. And I've noticed a pattern of tending to choose partners when I'm in that space because I'm so outgoing. I'm so loving. I'm so bubbly. And then I just choose a partner who is completely magnetized to that. And then when I go into my luteal phase, I will admit And it's taken me years to do this because I used to be like, I'm still the same or I'm still the same person. It's just, I would say, within the past couple of years, and that's what my previous relationship taught me, I am not the same in my luteal phase. And it's something that I used to be ashamed about. I used to be really ashamed that I didn't have the same level of high energy, that I wasn't as open, that I wasn't as loving. I even labeled myself as having an avoidant attachment style because I was so intrinsic. Like I was like, I'm an introvert. And I remember my friend being like, no, the heck you're not. You're not an introvert. But when I go into my luteal phase, I don't have the energy to do a lot of the things that I do in my follicular phase, but I'm also more introspective. And it's a beautiful part. What I've had to do on this journey is really embracing who I am in my luteal phase and looking at what kind of partner I need in my luteal phase. Who am I compatible with in my luteal phase? Because if I was just going off of who I was compatible with in my follicular phase, there would be this big pool of individuals that I can be compatible with because I'm open, I'm loving, I'm bubbly. I'm not really calling you out on anything. I'm really good with the flow. Like it's easy to fall in love with someone that is just in that manner. And then when you go into my luteal phase, I overthink a lot of things. I have more stressors in my life. Things are more overwhelming. I'm requiring more reassurance, more external validation, which I'm working on, but it's still there. Like that's one of the things I'm working on, needing external validation, but I'm very well aware that I need it at this point. So I would say wherever you are in your journey, if you're in that place of like, I'm working on this, don't deny that you need what you need. Like I know that I'm on my self-love journey and I'm getting to the point where I really want to be in that place where I'm not requiring external validation from partners, for friends and family, for anybody that I'm with myself. I'm completely whole, but right now I'm not there. So I still need that external validation. And so I have to be aware that everybody that I add to my life has to be able to add to that. And it's something that I don't need to be ashamed with. I don't need to be ashamed that I'm at a point in my life where if I'm willing to put forth effort, if I'm doing nice things for you, if I'm doing things for you where I'm pouring into you, I want to hear that external validation. I want to feel like you appreciate what it is that I'm doing. I want to feel that it is reciprocated. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think a lot of times when we're looking at getting our needs met, we're like, oh, let me get to a point where I don't need that. It's like, no, I need that. And I need that unapologetically. And I've gotten so bold and confident in that area of my life as far as dating is concerned. It's like, hey, if I'm dating you and you're not giving me that external validation, then I don't know that I want to continue this because I know the effort that I'm willing to put in. I know the presence and the value that I have. And if you're in a place where you just think that like, oh, you can just take that for granted and be like, oh, that's just whatever, then like, that's not for me because some people don't need that external validation and I do. And I would love to be in this place where I don't need it, but I'm not there right now. So I could pretend right now that I don't need it and find someone that never gives it to me. I did that. I was dating a person that was very stoic. I was doing all of these things and they never expressed like appreciation. They just, it was this level of arrogance, like they expected it. And I remember feeling so emptied and devalued and unappreciated. And it just didn't feel good to me. And I was being the core of who I was. I wasn't doing it for their attention, affection, and validation, but I would have appreciated it. Like I know what it feels like. It's almost like when someone doesn't give you the thing that you value, then it makes you value it even more. And that's exactly what happened. When someone doesn't give me external validation for the things that I'm doing, the effort that I'm putting in, and just saying like, I really appreciate that. Just simple gratitude. I give gratitude every single morning, every single day as part of my PMDD morning routine. And whether I'm in PMDD or not, I give gratitude to God for so many things that I've been given in this life. And I don't take any instance with my friends, with my family. I don't take it for granted. If someone is doing something for me, I'm making sure that I'm letting them know that I appreciate it. And I need to be connected with individuals that are able to do the same. And not just with words, but with actions. So when I'm getting into these dating relationships and they're acting like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to get this. And I'm like with this entitlement, I feel like we're not compatible because what I will do is I will pour so much into you and I won't get anything poured back into me. And it's not a quid pro quo thing where I'm expecting that I do this for you and then you do this for me. But it's a matter of if I do something for you, show appreciation. And not everybody is at that point where they feel like they have to or they feel like they want to. And so I don't want to pull anybody outside of character. And it's one of those situations where it's like, oops, I almost did it again because I really was dating this person that was aligned in so many areas of my life, except for specific ways that we just weren't compatible. And I was always willing to accept it and put myself in another relationship that really aligned with me in certain areas that we were compatible, but certain areas we were not. And so I had to pull myself back. And it was really, really hard for me because in my luteal phase, they were providing a lot of the things that I need, which was the external validation, which was the appreciation. It was the communication. I felt very safe and secure when I was in my luteal phase. I felt like I could be myself. I felt like I couldn't be, I wasn't going to be judged for having lower energy. I was still going to get the same level of effort, whether I was high or whether I was low, like all of the things. But we weren't connecting on things that I would have valued in my follicular phase, which were the three F's. There were faith, there were fitness, and they were financial. Faith, fitness, and finances. Those were the three areas where we were not compatible, but I was almost willing to let that go because of the way that they were compatible in the other areas. So I'm going to go over the ways that you can actually feel like you're not compatible with your partner and you want to break up. And this is what is going to get you into these PMDD monthly breakups. And then I'm going to give you the tools about what you can do about it. Because you're often going to feel like you're not compatible with your partner when you're in PMDD, when you're in the luteal phase, because you have these intense emotional and relational strains that PMDD brings up when you're in your luteal phase. So the first thing is when your PMDD partner gets into these drastic personality changes during PMDD. So PMDD partners may feel like they are with two completely individuals every single month. This is going to lead to a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration. So if you're in that place where you're like, we're not compatible because I can't deal with my partner being one way in their follicular phase, and then they get in their luteal phase and they're completely different. I get that because you don't know what to do. You begin walking on eggshells and you begin to think that you don't know what they're capable of. That's where the fear comes in. The fear comes in because you're thinking all of the things that they're doing in their luteal phase, they would never do them in their follicular phase. Like if she wasn't in PMDD, she would never be talking to me like this. If she wasn't in PMDD, she would never be acting like this. So this is what's going to make you feel like you're just not compatible because you can't deal with the ebbs and flows. You can't deal with the ups and downs. If you're a male, you may be saying like, I'm not on the cycle. I'm the same way all month long. Why am I supposed to deal with someone that is up and down and I can't really predict how their behavior is going to be with me? I don't feel safe going home because I don't know what version of you that I'm going to get. Am I going to get the luteal version of you or am I going to get the follicular version of you? Which leads into the next thing where you have these constant fights and arguments during PMDD where there's a lot of irritability, there's a lot of sensitivity, to rejection, and even small arguments, small disagreements that you could have gone through in your follicular phase end up getting to the place where they begin into big blowups. And they begin attacking your character and saying you're a malicious person, you're a narcissist person, you're all of these things. There's a lot of name calling with small fights that you could have easily dealt with when you were in your follicular phase or when your partner was in their follicular phase. So the next thing is this emotional distance and rejection. So PMDD can cause your partner, the one that's suffering with PMDD, to withdraw, to really go into a hole, to go internal, as my exes used to say, where you really have this emotional numbness. And as the partner who is not suffering with PMDD, you kind of want to get them to snap out of it. And so there may be this strong urge to just go into your own hole. So now basically you're both in this place where you're isolating yourselves from each other and you're pushing each other away because you're internally suffering with the fact that your partner's in their luteal phase. Like the partner who's in their luteal phase is suffering, and then you're suffering with their reaction. You want your partner to just come back. For the partner that doesn't have PMDD, you just want to see that version of your partner again. And so you're feeling like you want to really hide out. You want to hide out until PMDD goes away. And so the next thing that happens is you really feel unappreciated. You feel unappreciated and you feel unsupported. So PMDD sufferers often feel like their partner doesn't understand how much they suffer in PMDD, how hard it is for them to hold in all of their PMDD irritability, their PMDD rage, their fatigue. They feel like they're showing up to their partner, they're doing the best that they can, and they're still getting criticized for not doing enough. And you're almost feeling like there's nothing that I could do to ever be enough for you. And so you're getting to that point where you feel like nothing that I can do is good enough. We're just not compatible because how can I be with you if I'm giving you everything that I got and it's still not enough for you? And I've been there before where I really feel like I'm going to squeeze the tube of toothpaste. I'm going to fold it over and give you everything. And then my partner has still criticized me and blamed me for not being essentially who I am freely in my follicular phase. And guess what? If you're suffering with PMDD, you cannot snap your fingers and get back into your follicular phase. And for the partners, there's nothing that you can say and do that's going to make PMDD go away and for your partner to just morph back into the follicular phase. So you may be totally in love with the version of them that doesn't have to do with PMDD, but there's nothing that you can do to make them get to that point, and except for just allowing time to go by in their cycle until they get back to that place. But a lot of times you're trying to rush it. Like for me, my PMDD used to be 14 days. And I think about 7 days in, like the beginning of the cycle, like my partner would just be like, really like acting like everything was fine. But he was holding in the bitterness, holding in the resentment, holding in the fact that he was just not happy with this version of me. But I guarantee you by day 7, he was not happy and his mood shifted. And there was nothing that I could do to pull myself out of it. And he would try to like do tricks like a circus, like if he's super loving, if he's super this. And because there was this emotional numbness, there was this avoidance, he felt hopeless. He was like, there's nothing I can do to get her out of PMDD. And he didn't like that version. And so when you're talking about compatibility, it is, can this person, and I don't want to say deal with you, but can they enjoy you? Whether you're in your luteal phase, your follicular phase, your menstruation phase, or ovulation. That's what I really had to understand and really come to terms with and really be honest. My partner loved and adored me and liked me in my follicular phase. In ovulation, absolutely. Even in menstruation, when I was like having my week of my period, that was like 7 days, and I was still loving, but I was just really like low energy. Even that was fine. But when I was in my luteal phase and I just wanted to climb into my hole, we were not compatible. We were absolutely not compatible because that whole time that I was in PMDD, he was thinking that the reason why I wasn't bubbly and I wasn't happy and I wasn't loving and I wasn't open was because of something that he did. And he began to take it personally, and it didn't matter whatever I said or did. He just took it personally. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him for that because he just didn't have the capacity to deal with that version of me in my luteal phase. And what that led to was the next thing with the lack of intimacy. So PMDD symptoms like mood swings, depression, physical pain, discomfort, body aches, all of those things, it really makes you feel disconnected if you don't want to participate in intimacy. And I don't just mean intimacy as a realm of sex. I mean, if you're not holding hands anymore, I know during my luteal phase, I would get to the point where I wasn't making eye contact at a time. And I know that's one of the most painful things for someone that's really emotionally connected with you, but I just felt like it was too much for me. I was just like, we would be in the car, and instead of me looking over at my partner whenever he would talk to me, I was looking straight out the window. I was either looking straight or I was looking to the right out the window. And he was consistently trying to put himself in my view to connect with me. And I just couldn't do it. I had this emotional numbness. So when I got into PMDD, he felt unloved. He felt insecure. He felt unattractive. He felt like jealous. He felt like I didn't want to be with him. And I was the one causing him to have all of these emotions because of the way that I was treating him. So we were not compatible for my luteal phase because I would need to be with someone, and I'm learning this over time and I'm sharing it with you. What is compatible for me is to be able to have me be in those times where I'm able to zone out and my partner not take it personally. And that's not a lot of individuals. I will say that. You have to be very secure with yourself and very secure with the relationship and very secure with your foundation to be okay with not being dismissed, not being ignored, but just not being as open and loving. And I'm not saying that I would be like that every single month when I'm in my luteal phase, but I do believe that there are certain times where I really do go internal during my luteal phase and I just want to spend time with myself. And I don't want to overstimulate myself because overstimulation leads to stress, leads to my symptoms being worse. And I'm just trying to figure out how to manage my PMDD symptoms. And I know a lot of you are there and you're feeling like, how can I go internal and really manage my symptoms? And I'm with a person that never allows me to go to that place without blaming me and criticizing me. So where I feel like I need to show up differently. And then I become bitter and resentful. So that's the next thing is you're resentful over repeated apologies. You often feel guilty about your behavior. And every single cycle, every single month, you're apologizing about how you talk to them, how you didn't talk to them, how you were with them. And the partners may become tired of the constant cycle. They may begin to be like, you know what, we're not compatible because I'm tired of hearing the same apologies every single month again and again and again. I'm tired of talking about PMDD again and again and again. I'm tired of you using PMDD as an excuse. Because when your partner's needs aren't getting met, there's a time where even your apologies are like falling on deaf ears, as they say. Like they're hearing you apologize, but they're still feeling hurt. They're still feeling disconnected. They're like, yeah, I forgive you, but there's no intimacy there. And so the next way that you could potentially not be compatible is you're blaming PMDD for everything. Everything has to do with PMDD. Some partners feel like every issue in the relationship should get blamed on PMDD, and it makes it seem like your feelings or concerns don't matter as the one that's suffering with PMDD. So you may not be compatible with someone that literally is in that place where it's like, hey, just remember, you're the one that has PMDD. You're the one with the problem. So if there's ever an issue in this relationship, it obviously is because of PMDD, and I don't have PMDD and you do. So then you become the scapegoat. You become the reason of every issue that you have in your PMDD relationship. You may not be compatible if they don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to separate the two, to be able to separate PMDD and separate what are genuine issues in your PMDD relationship. Does PMDD magnify them? Absolutely. Is PMDD the cause of them? Absolutely not. PMDD rips the blanket off of every issue that you already have with your partner. It doesn't always create them. Sometimes it can create an issue that wasn't already there, like little things where it's like, oh, I don't like when you do this, or I don't like when you do this. Like for me, it was snoring. I couldn't stand when my partner snored, but when I was in my follicular days, I was fine. So PMDD created that issue for me and my PMDD partner at the time, and I had to recognize that. That wasn't for me to blame and shame my partner, which I made the mistake of doing. Like, oh my gosh, they're maliciously snoring. No, they were just snoring. We were not compatible for my luteal phase. So when I say, are you compatible? Think about the symptoms that you have. I'm going to help you with this right now because this is what I would do with my private clients. Think about the symptoms that you have in PMDD. Write them out. And then think about what kind of individual would trigger those symptoms. For me, I have misophonia, which is a sensitivity to noise, which means, and it sounds weird, but even when I'm dating people, I always ask them, couple dates in, I'm like, hey, do you snore? And I know that's a weird question to ask, but the reason why I'm asking is for the future. It's because if you snore, there's a potential that we are going to have an issue because I have misophonia. It is me. I'm the problem. It's me. I have an issue with misophonia. So I know that if I'm in a relationship with you and you snore, I'm going to potentially start to get bitter and resentful for that because when I get into my luteal phase, I don't even like when my dog licks himself at this point. Like my dog sleeps on the foot of my bed. His name is Leo. I don't want to say his name because he's going to look over at me, but he licks himself. And for me, it sounds, oh my gosh, so loud. Whenever he licks himself, whenever he shakes himself, whenever he does like just little things, it sounds so loud for me. And that's a me problem. I'm not going to get rid of my dog. Am I going to say, oh my gosh, my dog is the issue? No, I'm recognizing like during my luteal phase, I hear things louder than they actually are. So a lot of the times when you're thinking about compatibility, be honest with yourself. If you have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, it's not a matter of blaming yourself and shaming yourself. but it's a matter of understanding who you are and what it is that you require in your luteal phase. And so I require someone that does not snore. I'm not saying you have to be completely quiet, because I've dated people or been with people that snore a little bit, but if it's this loud, like non-consistent, like if it's loud up and down and it gets louder and lower and louder, like I can't. Like I can't, if there's too many ebbs and flows, like I already live by a train. Like I moved into this condo almost 2 years ago and they said, oh, you may or may not hear the train. No, I hear it all the time and it sounds like chalk, like nails on a chalkboard. It sounds horrible. So I know whoever I'm with in my luteal phase, I just need to date for someone that doesn't snore. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't make them a great person because they don't snore. That's just one of the things. So the next thing is the exhaustion from the monthly roller coaster. You may feel emotionally drained from your partner because the constant cycle of fights and repairing the fights and then repeating the fights and having the intrusive thoughts and you're feeling like you're going to give up. This is ways that you may say, you know what, we're not compatible because of all these things that are going on. And so the next thing is the doubt of the future. You really start to feel like, I don't know how much more I can deal with. I don't know how much more I can handle in this relationship because I feel like I'm doing my best and you're still complaining, you're still blaming me, you're still shaming me, and you get to this point where you're feeling like nothing you do is ever going to be good enough. And so you may feel like maybe we're just not compatible. Maybe we just shouldn't be together. And it's going to lead to those PMDD monthly breakups because when you feel like you've done everything that you could do, you've done everything that you can do, and your partner is still complaining, you get to the point where you're just like, you know what? Maybe we just shouldn't be together. Maybe I should be with someone else that these things don't strategically want to cause them to break up. And I just want you to understand that these are things that PMDD really, really, really start to talk to you about. And you're just saying like, you don't understand me. You don't understand the core of who I am. You don't understand my struggle. And if you don't understand it now, you're never going to understand it. And then the last way is you feel like you're walking on eggshells. And I have my program for that, for partners, and it's still on sale right now. You go to inlovewithpmdd.com. It's called My Partner Has PMDD, Now What? And it's strategically designed for partners. And it is basically helping partners with understanding how to be a more supportive PMDD partner because partners often, they fear triggering an emotional reaction out of you. If you have PMDD, they're walking on eggshells because they're feeling like any little thing that they say can make you go off on them on PMDD rage, and they don't know how to handle it. They genuinely do not know how to handle it. So if you're feeling like, yeah, I literally said that I don't feel like I'm compatible with my partner during PMDD, so let's go over some ways that you can really determine if you're compatible with your PMDD partner. And I've used this for dating, and I'm going to share it with you right now. I'm giving you my blueprint because right now I told you I need to date for who can be best for me, not just in my follicular phase, but also in my luteal phase, because PMDD is not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm not going to be delusional. And I really felt like, oops, I did it again because I almost chose a partner just based off of my follicular phase because it's easier to do that. You're more open and you're more loving and accepting and you see all the red flags and you want to paint them green when you're in your follicular phase and then you get in your luteal phase and you're like, why did I do that? So here are some ways that you can really determine if you're compatible with your PMDD partner. And that is number one, observe how you handle conflicts together. So one of the biggest things that I was really attracted to with one of the previous guys that I was just dating was we had a lot of conflict early on. And the way that we handled conflict was very, very healthy. I don't think I've ever handled conflict with someone as healthy as the person that I was dating, which made it really hard for me to break it off because I was like, wow, like that was conflict. Like basically a situation would happen, a misunderstanding would happen. And then later on, we would talk about it. And he was a very active listener where I was saying my part. And he was like, he literally had things that he wanted to say. And he was like, no, I have things I want to say, but I'm going to let you talk. And then he let me get everything out. And a lot of times I was getting it out in a very emotional way, specifically when I was in PMDD. And I was like, this is how I feel about this. And this is how I feel about that. And there was never any judgment for the way that I was expressing myself. Was I name calling? Was I blaming? Was I shaming? Was I cursing? No, I was just expressing me and how I felt. And he gave me that safe space to do it. And I felt good about that because sometimes you just need to get it out. When you're dealing with conflict, when you're dealing with frustration, you just really need to get it out. And until you get it out, you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard. The issue is not dissolved. It's still going to be like a pending issue. So he let me get everything out. And he said, I really understand how you could feel like that. I didn't see it that way. So there was a level of validation of saying like, hey, I didn't see it that way. I can see your point of view. And I'm sorry that I made you feel that way, because I always ended it with, this is what happened. This is how I perceived it. And this is how I felt because of it. And he reassured me and was like, hey, I never meant to make you feel that way. I'm really sorry. It wasn't like you shouldn't feel that way or that's so stupid. Why would you feel that way? There was a level of validation and acceptance for my experience, which made me in turn want to hear, what was your experience? Like, what did you think about the situation? And then he in turn talked about it. And I was like, oh, I didn't see that way either. And then we kind of laughed about it. We talked about it a little bit more. And I was like, okay, moving forward, I know a way to prevent this from happening again. And he was like, yeah, me too. Now I know that this is a trigger for you, or this is something that you don't like. And I'm not going to do it again because I always want you to feel cherished, valued, all the things. And then that's how we handled conflict. And I was like, oh my gosh. So this showed me that we had ways to de-escalate the tension that was going on in the argument and repair it after the argument. So in the moment, he allowed me to talk. I allowed him to talk. Therefore, there was a de-escalation. It wasn't an interrupting. It wasn't a blaming, a shaming, a criticism, defensiveness. No, it was, it was a genuine curiosity. Like, I genuinely want to know how you feel about this. And he genuinely wanted to know how I felt about it. And then how do we repair it after the argument? We kind of did a debrief. It was like, okay, so moving forward, I know that you don't like that. I actually am glad that we went through that, because now I know that you don't like that and we don't have to go through that again. And so the disagreements didn't turn into a personal attack. We communicated with respect, and it actually brought us closer. So that was the first way of showing me that we were compatible in that specific way. Was that the only way that we needed to be compatible? But no, that's the first sign of how do you handle conflicts together. I used to think that compatibility had to do with how you handle the good times. But then I really learned that compatibility really has to do with how you handle the bad times. What do you allow to come out? Do you disrespect the person in the bad times? Do you not allow yourself to process what it is that you're going through before you're interacting with the person? Do you just yell at them and curse at them and shout at them? Because I've been with partners before in the past that just brought that side out of me. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them, but I've literally been with people that have brought that side where I immediately get angry. I immediately get triggered because they weren't allowing me to be seen and heard. And so another side of me came out. And so we were not compatible, because when conflict came, that other side of me was going to come out. I didn't want that other side of me to come out. And it was kind of like they couldn't control it. I couldn't control it. So we were in this situation where it's like, yeah, this is pretty much not healthy for the both of us. And then so the next way that you can determine if you're compatible is you assess your emotional safety with the person. Do you feel emotionally safe to express your feelings, even in the times that you're having the fights and the arguments? Can you just stop and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling? Can you be open, real, and raw with them? And that's what I was able to do with this person. I was able to just be like, listen, I understand that we're going through this conflict, but like, this is how I'm feeling. Or does your partner try to judge you rather than understand you? If so, you feel like your partner is going to criticize you and judge you, you're not going to be open and vulnerable in the midst of conflict. It's just not going to happen. So you're not going to be compatible when it comes to conflict. And guess what? Conflict's going to happen. So especially in the luteal phase, conflict is going to happen in the luteal phase, and you need to be with someone that can manage that. And so you look at patterns. So the next thing is you really, really look at patterns. Maybe you have 1 or 2 cycles, 1 or 2 months when you have a big PMDD blow up because you had a really big instance that's happened in your PMDD relationship. And you really want to ask yourself, was this month really bad because of external stressors, or is this just every single month? If you have a big blow up with your partner, that doesn't mean that you're not compatible. It just means that you had a really bad month, and that's okay. But if you're having this consistent pattern of it always being intense, of you always walking on eggshells, that's when it may be that situation where it's like, we're not compatible because we've not dealt with 6 months ago. And now we're going on 7 months and 8 months. And every single month we're dealing with the issue, but we're not in a place where we can actually deal with it. So when you asking yourself, are you compatible? Ask yourself this question. Do you notice a pattern of small improvements over time and the way that you're handling conflict, or is it progressively getting worse? Because if it's progressively getting worse, you need to get help, because that means you're getting trauma piled on top of each other again and again and again. And that's why I created the PMDD Power Couples membership, to really unravel the trauma that can be happening in your relationship on a weekly basis. Because once it starts to pile up on you, then it's harder to dig yourself out of it. And when you get to that point where you're like, oh, I want to break up, it's like, you're not breaking up because of this one issue. You're breaking up over months and months and months of issues that you haven't addressed. So if you haven't gone to the link in my bio and join, we start sessions this month. So make sure that you're joining the PMDD Power Couples membership, because this is going to be a safe place. This is going to be a level of accountability where you're going to be able to deal with what is going on in your PMDD relationship on a weekly basis. So where you're going to be able to hold you accountable, hold your partner accountable to whatever is coming up. You're going to be able to get this expert advice. It's almost like having a private session with me every single week. This is the most affordable way of working with me. It's only $97 a month, which is a true bargain, because you're getting literally weekly group counseling sessions with me. So if you've not joined, make sure you join. And the next thing is, you're checking for mutual effort and understanding in PMDD. Is your partner consistently trying to learn more about PMDD? That's going to show whether they're compatible. Are they interested in what you have going on? I've had partners who have PMDD, or clients that have PMDD, and they have, partners that have ADHD and PTSD and all of these other things. Like I said, I've had partners who have PTSD, and I got very well versed with PTSD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, seasonal depression. When I found out what my partners had and what disorder they had, or what thing that was causing them to struggle, I dived into it to find out more about it, find out what I need to do as a partner to help them in the struggle. Like, it's not about them doing it all on their own. It's like, is your partner open to learning tools to support you? Or do they resist making adjustments in their lives and putting the blame on you and saying, hey, it's you. You're the one that has PMDD. Like, I shouldn't need to change anything. You're probably not compatible if they're going to put it all on you, because guess what? At any point, anything can happen with your partner. They can have another disorder. They can have another thing happen to them. And then are they going to be expecting you to be there for them? Absolutely. So God forbid your partner get cancer. Are you going to be, like, my partner has cancer, I don't have anything to do with it? No. You're going to start researching what you need to do for their cancer treatments, what you need to do as a partner to help them in their thing. This PMDD is the same thing. Whatever your partner is going through, you need to be invested. And that's the way that you're showing that you're compatible. It's like, I'm understanding the struggle that you're going through. I'm not committed to healing the journey. I'm not committed to doing the work for you, but I'm committed to supporting you and whatever it is that you need. And so the next thing is evaluating their response to your needs. When you get to that point where you're saying, I need space during PMDD, I need this during PMDD, evaluate their response. I always say, if you're compatible with somebody that you can tell no to and see how they react. If you're always giving your partner what it is that they need and what they want and all the things, you're never really going to know if you're compatible, because you're always meeting their needs. How do they act when you don't meet their needs? And you're just like, hey, I know that you want to spend time together. I know that you want to go on date night, but I'm not really feeling up to it. When you express your needs for space or more support or more reassurance, do they respect that and give it to you? Or do they take your symptoms personally? Because if you're in your luteal phase and you're telling them what it is that you're needing, you're being very clear with them, and they're just thinking about themselves, you might not be compatible, because they're always going to put their needs above yours. They're not going to be like, you know what? I know that I want to go out tonight, but if you want to stay in, like, I'm going to support you. And maybe it's a situation where your partner gives you space and then they go out and they have a good time with their friends. Are they able to self-soothe? That's a really big thing for me. Like, if I tell someone that I'm dating that I'm not feeling up to it, are they going to be disrespectful and go out and cheat on me? Or are they going to be able to self-soothe and be like, okay, I completely understand, babe. I'm going to go have a good time. Like, let's meet up tomorrow. Am I going to feel rejected because I'm not meeting their needs in that moment because I'm not at their beck and call? So see if you still, this is the next one, see if you still have moments of connection in your luteal phase. Even in your luteal phase, when you're in PMDD, do you have moments of laughter? Do you have moments of connection? Do you have moments of understanding? Do you have moments of intimacy? Can you still enjoy small things together, like watching a show or having a calm conversation? Even if you can't do the things that you would normally do in your follicular phase, but can you still have fun? Can you still enjoy your partner when you're in your luteal phase? That's going to determine whether you're compatible. And then the next thing is consider their patience and adaptability. I already know, I used to think that I was supposed to be with someone who was an alpha male. I now know that that is absolutely not true. I truly admire masculinity. I truly admire the take charge mentality. I just know when I'm in my luteal phase, I'm not compatible with that type of person because that person will push and push and push and they won't be emotionally there for me in those moments. I need the balance of both. So I need the balance of someone that's actually saying, you know what, I know that you're going through this. Like, I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to be able to soften. I'm going to be able to create a safe space for you. A lot of times the people that I was attracting and that had that alpha male mentality, they were just like, what's wrong with you? Like, let me know when you're better. Let me know when you're ready to be bubbly and cute again. And so when I got into those places of suffering, I started to hide my suffering because they weren't allowing me to be emotionally safe because it didn't serve them. It wasn't fun. And so I had to just wait until I got out of it or snap myself out of it or force myself to pretend like I wasn't suffering when I was really suffering. And because people that had that mentality, I wasn't compatible with because they didn't have any patience. So I would ask yourself, does your partner get frustrated and withdraw when you get into your luteal phase, or do they adjust and stay present in a healthy way? Do they lay with you on the couch and say, okay, you just want to lay in and just do nothing today? I'm going to lay with you and I'm going to go play on my phone or something. Not, hey, I'm out of here and I'm going to go into the garage and I'm going to completely ignore you because you're not meeting my needs. Can they handle the unpredictability of PMDD without resenting you for it and making you pay for a disorder that you didn't ask for? Because that is how I felt in so many relationships where I was paying for something that I didn't ask for. You think I want to have PMDD? I don't want to have this. I have this. I'm being open with you that I have it, but I'm now being punished for it. So check their emotional reactions. Are they able to be in conflict and not yell at you and curse at you and trigger you? Check your emotional reactions. Are you lashing out at them specifically, or do you feel this way about everything and everyone? Do you have a specific way of thinking about, feeling about your partner that is specifically just toxic? This is the last one. Is this hard or is this toxic? PMDD relationships are hard, but hard is not the same thing as toxic. So if you're both trying to learn about PMDD, if you're trying to show up despite the struggles, if you're trying to do all these other things that helps it, that's fine. But is it really toxic because you're just in this relationship where you're not compatible, you don't have the emotional capability, and you're not trying to do anything about it? If you don't have the tools, I always tell you there's no shame in not having the tools. There's shame in not getting help once you recognize that you don't have the tools. Like, that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm here to provide you with the tools. And so this is why I created the PMDD Power Couples group counseling community. This is a game changer for if you're in that place of not feeling compatible with your PMDD partner. There are things that you're going to be able to learn in this membership, that you're going to be able to learn tools every single week. And it's accountability. It's kind of like if you know that you want to lose weight, for those people that get those like personal trainers, and not that they don't know how to work out. You get a personal trainer because they're going to hold you accountable for doing the things that you know how to do. And a lot of times they show you things that you don't know how to do. But again, you probably wouldn't do the majority of things that you would do if you had a personal trainer, if they weren't there to hold you accountable. Like if they're like, hey, meet me at the gym at this time, you're going to do it. It's the same thing. When you know that you're going to have issues in your PMDD relationship, and you know, because I've had so many of my private clients where like they tell their partner, I don't want to discuss this right now. I'm going to wait till we have a session with Dr. Rose and then we'll discuss it, because they know it's a safe place. They know they're not going to do damage in their PMDD relationship, and they're going to be able to address it in a manner that they're not just talking about the problem. There's so many communities where you're just talking about the things that you don't like in your relationship, and there's almost this victim mentality of, like it sucks, it sucks, it sucks. Yes, it sucks, but what are you doing about it? What are the tools? Are you gaining anything by just talking negatively about your partner? Because cognitively, what you talk about becomes imprinted on your brain. So it becomes a pattern in your PMDD brain every single month. If you're consistently talking about how horrible your relationship is, how much you don't like your partner, how much you're not compatible, guess what? The reticular activating system in your brain is going to start to look for more ways to prove why you shouldn't be with your partner. And you're going to be like wondering why you're starting to feel so disconnected from your partner. It's because all you're doing is talking about the issues that you have with your partner without actually doing anything about it. So what you're going to get in this membership, the PMDD Power Couples Group Counseling Membership. And what I mean by power is you're taking back your power. PMDD is taking a lot of power back out of your relationship. We're making you feeling helpless. This is the antithesis of power. It's making you feel like every single month that you go into PMDD, you don't know what to do. You're just feeling helpless. It's going to break the cycles of PMDD breakups. And you're going to stop the monthly fights, the misunderstandings, the emotional distance that leads to the constant breakups. And it's going to make your relationship stronger instead, because every single time an issue is going to come up, it's going to be dealt with, and then you can just move on. You're going to learn how to communicate without the conflict. You're going to learn how to communicate in a way to express your needs, to set boundaries, to navigate those tough conversations, to not hold it in, to stop walking on eggshells without them turning into big blowups. You're going to feel like I can actually express the needs that I have in my relationship, express the things that I'm really feeling without it turning to a big blowup that could potentially be abusive and harmful for our relationships. You're going to get support from other couples who actually get it. You're not alone. You're going to connect with other couples who truly understand what you're going through in your PMDD relationship or loving someone with PMDD. They're not going to tell you to break up. They're not going to tell you that you're crazy. They're going to tell you, I understand exactly what you're going through, and I'm here trying to save my relationship too. And you're going to understand what is PMDD versus what's the relationship. You're going to learn how to separate your PMDD symptoms from the real relationship issues, so you're not blaming each other and shaming each other for something that's outside of your control. You're going to compartmentalize and say, these are the things that PMDD is impacting, and these are the actual issues that we have in our relationship. You're going to get my PMDD trauma transformational tools for both partners. It's very different. I give very different tools for the partner that's suffering with PMDD and the partner that's not. And so you're going to get proven tools on how to manage your PMDD rage and then your emotional triggers for the partner that doesn't have PMDD. You're going to turn your resentment into teamwork. It's going to be learning how to stop feeling like you're battling each other and start working towards PMDD as a team instead of against each other. You're going to start working as a team against PMDD and not each other. And what is that going to bring you? More intimacy, more connection, more trust, more closeness, the emotional safety, even during your luteal phase. You're not going to have to wait until after you get out of your luteal phase to feel close to your PMDD partner. And then one of the biggest things is you're going to have a safe place to process all of the things that have to do with PMDD. There's no judgment. There's no shame. There's going to be expert guidance given by me, who has suffered with PMDD for over 19 years, who have counseled hundreds and hundreds of PMDD partners and sufferers, that understands what you're going through, and you're going to be able to be real and raw, and you're not going to feel judged for it. This is so different from talking to friends about PMDD who don't even know what it is, because they're immediately going to blame you, shame you, and tell you that you should just break up. And then the other thing is you're going to get weekly live group counseling sessions from a PMDD relationship specialist. This is something that is so invaluable and is not offered anywhere else. And for as little, it's so much more affordable than private counseling sessions. And $97 a month, you get weekly group counseling sessions, expert advice, and a community without the high cost of the private sessions. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have so many younger clients and so many individuals that are like, Dr. Rose, I want to work with you. And I would say to all my private clients, use this as an add-on. Really use this as an add-on with whatever it is that you're doing with my programs, with my tools, because you need to be in community with other couples that are going through what you're going through and getting this accountability in between our sessions. So if you feel like, Dr. Rose, I'm already working with you privately, get into this membership, $97 a month. There should be no reason why you all who are listening to this podcast should not be in this group counseling community, because you're going to be able to get the help that you need. So until the next episode, we got this. I love you. I hope these tools help you and your PMDD partner. If you have not enrolled to get the course, My Partner Has PMDD, now what? Then you want to make sure that you are one of the first 12 individuals that gets the course for the month of December to get that complimentary private session with me. And then after that, it'll go back to regular price without the private sessions. But what this course is going to do for you is give your partner all of the tools that they need on how to be a supportive PMDD partner. What does that look like? I always say that your partner doesn't need more information. They need more implementation. They need more transformational tools. And this is the program for you. So I'm looking forward to you getting those tools in the program. And until next episode, we got this.